Okay, we're live. Hello, people. All right, sorry for the delay. I know this was, as usual, unannounced, but we are here with a live form check. Well, sorry for everything, guys. We had a bit of an accident before, and my hands are very sticky, and I'm demonetized now. No, so what happened before was that I was setting up, and the camera was out of focus, it was desaturated, and I was shifting things around, and I spilled my drink. Typical desk sort of thing. The cup I'm using, I've changed my glass. So this is the Coca-Cola cup from McDonald's, and I've realized that these cups are very light and they have a very low center of balance. It was a lot easier to tip over than I thought. Now, the archery juice for tonight is, well, it's that I'm not sure if you've seen this. It's the apple pie flavored juice. It's the I'm not sure which company makes it. I buy a lot from the supermarket, but I normally buy the apple guava juices. But there was a special apple pie festive edition, and it's actually pretty nice. It's apple juice, but it's got a bit of like I guess cinnamon, so it tastes like apple pie. Unfortunately, I split half of it on my desk, so not only is it very sticky, it's got a smell of apple pie, which is not a pleasant smell. I don't know. It sounds nice, but I don't know. Yeah, it's apple juice, but with a bit more spice to it. So I'm not sure about spicy fruit juices. I'm sure other people love them. If you love spicy fruit juices, let us know in the comments. So, apart from that, we are here for a live form check. So it is currently 12 midnight, which is a strange time to stream. I was going to do this about 2 hours ago, but I was sidetracked by other things. So I'm going to make this fairly brief. There are 4, maybe 5 videos which have been sent in. For those who are just joining us, this is what we normally do once a month or once every 2 months, depending on the demand for it. And I really should be doing a more public announcement, so people will send things in. I'm just kind of waiting for people to send things in. And I think we can definitely do a more regular thing. So this is a chance for people to get feedback on their form and technique from myself. I'm, not the best coach in the world, but I'm what people say, the coach of the people. So I might be your best choice here. So hello to our viewers. We've got a lot of people from Europe. This is perfect time. What time is it in Europe? I know it's a big place, but I know there are a few people from Denmark and Sweden and Norway. What is the time over there? Because I'm very curious. It's 12 midnight here. I'm guessing it's sometime like 11 a.m. over there. Not sure exactly what time it is, but it is fairly. From last time I streamed with Swift, it was fairly early in the morning. So that's really cool. So welcome to the show. So we've got a few videos lined up. The goal of this is to learn from each other. So people volunteer to send in their videos. So we're here to do form checks, give some commentary, learn from each other, and of course, feel free to ask questions in chat. If you want me to see the chat, then just tag my name, nu.sensei, so that way I can see what appears on the screen. If I don't, if I'm not tagged, I might not see it. And hopefully we get across here. Let's see what's going on. So hello people, we've got a few from Australia, our regulars, Byron and the company. That's it's midnight, guys. I know what you're doing on a work night. I know what I'm doing on a work night. All right, let's see. We've got a couple of questions here. Kilo Liang, in China, all the archery ranges are closed. I can imagine why too. Practice at home. Couple of things you might want to do. If you have a space to shoot in, then have a foam target block and shoot at like 2 or 3 meters. Do it really close, so you can't miss. And just practice form. If you don't have a shooting space at all, then what you might want to do is to just practice stretching exercises and holding exercises. I recommend looking up the KSL SPTs or the specific physical training. I've got a video in on my channel. It involves a set of exercises. So even if you can't shoot right now, then you can do physical conditioning exercises to help you later on. But we'll take more questions a bit later. Alright, nice to know it's kind of afternoon in the European side and morning in the US, so there's actually a good time for people who are tuning in the morning on stateside. and definitely a good time for the Europeans and terrible for the Australians. And San Jose, California. You know, I've got family in San Jose on my father's side. How do you send a video to me, Eliza? Send an email to this address. I will type it out in the chat right now. If you send it in like right now, you can you can be featured in our form check today. But otherwise, I'll have a look at it next time. So for anyone who's interested, I was gonna link this in the description, but I keep forgetting. But that's the email address I use for the channel. So feel free to send a video during this live stream if you want to. Otherwise, just send one next time. J Marshall, what arrows am I using right now? I'm currently using Eastern ACEs. Length is approximately 27 inch or 27.5 inch. I'm currently using 120 grain points, and spine is 720, I believe. Yeah, I think 720 is where they come in. They're pretty short, so that's why I use a lighter spine, because a short arrow is stiffer. So I've got a short draw length, so I use a lighter or softer spine to do that. Okay, so let's get started with a question from DN Rick. How to aim better? That's a pretty vague question, Rico, and I can help you a bit more specifically if a more specific question. And target pattern for compound archery. We might get back to you, Pima. I think that's a very good question. And by the way, if there are any compound shooters in the house, I might need your help here. And Jake's here. Yes, we have a proper coach. Awesome. By the way, check out Jake. He's been coming every now and then, but Jake is definitely here to help out. KSL's looking really great, by the way. I'm still in that build process. I'm actually working with one of our local archers who's shooting national team tomorrow, and he's shooting KSL as well. So it's been working really well. Main thing is mental process, and I think tying in with Pima's question about compound archery, KSL works with compound as well. It's mental process. So you got to remember the steps, and especially because for me, coming in from a fairly soft mental game, having KSL as the backbone has given me a lot of confidence going in. A lot of it comes down to, one, physical practice will get you shooting well. I mean, one thing we have to debunk right away is doing KSL doesn't make you shoot better. Having a process is important, but you've got to be extremely dedicated in practice, because in the end, there is a skill difference. There is no guarantee that following any process will make you better. Your dedication, your practice, and your own skill will determine your results. So I might be doing KSL. That said, it doesn't mean I'm automatically a god. That's Jake. He's the archery god. Check his channel out. But it has really made you feel a lot more resilient in terms of my process. So, for example, on Sunday, I had a pretty shocking round. It's only a 30-meter round, and I've been doing 20-meter practice, and I've been doing really, really well in maintaining personal best and even shooting really crappy rounds. I haven't degraded, but I shot a 30-meter round, and suddenly I was shooting like crap. Turns out it wasn't my process. My process was good, but I couldn't figure out why my arrows were going way to the left. As it turns out, funny story, things slip when you don't realize it. So we were shooting in a very casual 3-lane arrangement, well, 1-lane arrangement, and there were 3 of us, and I was on the far right. Now, I normally shoot either dead center or far left. I don't normally shoot on the far right. And because we don't have lanes marked out, I was actually quite far off target. So I was shooting at quite a big angle, and because of that, the arrows were floating far to the left. So that was a very interesting thing. I didn't realize that quite like halfway through the round that I'd had to change my sight and go, oh, my aim point's over here instead, because I was that far to the right. The other thing was that the line was drifting. Because we didn't have the lines marked out, the line was naturally kind of drifting towards the right. So as each person was shifting, like took a step to the right each end, my sight was pushing further and further right. I couldn't figure out why my sight was off. So I eventually had to draw a line in the sand and go, hey guys, this is my lane. You don't cross this line. This is where it was. So these are small things that you don't realize, but you go, oh, duh, that's pretty dumb. So yeah, no, it's gonna be really well. And most importantly, you're just showing and teaching people to. Oh, by the way, yes, Sammy, your video will be in this, and hopefully Jake will be here too, so we can get some input from Jake. Yours was a very good video, and I think I saw your video before. I'll give you feedback very soon. But hopefully you can check it out when you come back. So yeah, definitely a resilient process is something which I've really taken on board, and going through each step. And again, when you between your practice and your actual shooting competition on a round, you have you have different focuses. So in practice, you walk through a lot of the setup phases. So setup, especially your gun barrel. So you focus more on the technical side. But when you're competing, you tend to focus more on the aiming side. So your mental focus shifts, and that's part of the ups and downs of practicing archery and having different conditions. And it's always important to keep in mind match conditions. It's something which most coaches, especially Coach Lee, will emphasize is train the way you would shoot in a competition. Hey, thank you, Thomas, for the donation there. Well, I really get donations, by the way. That's really cool. Anyway, so we've got a lot of stuff here, and like I said, if it is any compound shooters, please help, because I have no idea what's happening in this video. It's one of those videos. But let's start off with a fairly light video. So this one is from Gabrielle. Now he shoots horsebow. So not sure if you help us, Jake, but I guess I'm the horsebow expert at the moment. So unfortunately, Gabrielle hasn't really sent through all his videos. So he sent me a back view, and he'll be sending in a front view and a side view, so we can see what's happening there. But I sort of show this just because it is a pretty clear video in terms of what we are analyzing. You can probably tell and learn a lot from Gabrielle, because he has been shooting fairly new, so it's fairly new to the scene. This is from Gabrielle, and we'll see him shoot horsebow. Like I said, it's a back view. You won't see a lot, but you can probably tell a lot from this view anyway. So hopefully when we do see the other views, we can confirm these. But hopefully, Gabrielle, if you're watching this, then you get a chance to get some feedback right away. So here we go. This is Gabby. Let's skip a bit here. There you go. I love the quiver, by the way. I love this field quiver, especially leather ones. They're so natural. Alright, let's have a look here. So this back view only, but I think you can probably tell what my main feedback is. So for those who are watching, it's nice to type in the comments what you think is going on here, get some input. But this is a bit of a warm-up for us. We can probably diagnose what's happening. Alright, that's our shot sequence. Got 3 arrows there. So type in chat what you think. But I think some of the things we'll be saying will be quite obvious. So what do we think can be improved in this process? Shanhorse, I'm doing War of the Arrows. I would love to do War of the Arrows. That's on my hit list. No horse. Jake. Love you, Jake. Yeah, I want to do War of the Arrows one day. That's been on the back burner for a long time. That's definitely something I want to do. Thomas, is horsebow hard to shoot because there's no arrow shelf, arrow rest? That's not necessarily why it's hard. It's not harder than most styles of archery. It's a style of archery which has its own unique challenges. It isn't because there's no arrow shelf. There are things you have to know how to shoot a horsebow properly, but it's not necessarily because there's no rest. Now, naturally, having a rest is going to make things more consistent. So that's a general thing, especially for Western archery. But you can still shoot quite well and decently with the thumb draw off the thumb. So I think the initial thing to be quite obvious. I think that it is going to be... Gabrielle is overbowed. So when you see the way he draws, that sort of shake there is not normal for a horsebow, any bow really. And I think most of us who do archery have probably seen or come across this ourselves. When the draw weight's too high, you don't have any control. So it really seems like Gabrielle, despite his passion here, we've got a pretty big problem in terms of his draw weight. So that draw there is particularly nasty. So let's have a look at the second arrow. So there are a couple of things going on, both in terms, I think draw weight is the primary problem there. So you can see there's a bit of struggle in holding it still. But the shoulders are important as well. Again, back view doesn't show a whole lot, but you can definitely read into his shoulder structure. And look, the shoulder alignment is essential no matter what style you do, whether you shoot Olympic style or traditional Eastern style. Then you can see that the shoulders aren't coming to place very, very well. So there's a lot of movement. Again, the view doesn't really show exactly how it's drawing, but you can probably ascertain from the positioning that we've got a lot of movement in this front shoulder here. Let's have a look again. Let's see if we confirm. So he's drawing kind of low, all right? The angle really plays up here. Most styles will probably go a little higher towards eye level, either draw straight or draw downwards. I got a feeling we're starting a little too low in the process, so we have to draw upwards and then come back down, and then that's gonna lose back tension if you go up and down like that. So if you've got to set your front shoulder in position, especially in Eastern style. I mean, again, all styles have this, but Eastern style archery is particularly good. So let me try and showcase this. So what I'm trying to show here. And I could probably show this better if my actual shooting video. Oh hey, got a 11 euro from Sammy. Thank you very much. So what we're trying to achieve here, again, all styles need to do this, but you need to keep your front shoulder down. All right. So if you are going up and down like this, then you'll put a lot of strain on your front shoulder. Let me show you something. That's what I was showing. That's my battery charging. But I want to show a video on my side. I've showed my most recent video, which is the Raptor from Simon's Bow Company, which is an amazing bow. We'll be seeing more of that very shortly. Now, I'm not the best, horsebow shooter, but I want to show this because I think this demonstrates my point here. So we'll flip back over here. Fantastic bow. It is a sexy bow. If you haven't seen this video, do check it out on my channel. We do have the unraveling, the unboxing. It is an amazing bow. Amazing punch to it. So that's a great bow. But what I want to show is the shoulder. So just using myself as a reference, which again, I'm not the best reference, but you see what I mean here. So what we're trying to achieve, especially with the horsebow styles, is that shoulder being down. So again, with my style with the horsebows, I tend to lean a little further forward rather than backwards, but the front shoulder is set on the draw. So before I even draw the bow, the front shoulder is already down. This is almost I guess a textbook for most archery styles using horsebows. So we see the elbow in position up here, almost identical to Olympic style, where the elbow's pointing towards the pressure point down here. Good line, and the shoulder is down. This is essential, but you don't want the shoulder to come up. Now, this is a little heavy for me. I don't normally shoot 45-pound horsebows, but with the right back tension and expansion, you can control it easily. So the shoulder doesn't move. And that's key here, Gary. Now, that's a bit of a collapse there, but the shoulder doesn't move on the draw. We'll skip ahead a bit, and you'll see the front shoulder is set before the draw. So it's more dynamic, yes, but the shoulder doesn't move there. So it's a bit of a heavy thing for me, but that's what we want to showcase. If we go back to Gabby over here, and we'll see that the front shoulder doesn't seem set. Alright, so there's a lot of arm movement there, and I do feel that draw weight is the main thing hindering you. So you'll work into it, but one thing that's essential is you will want a practice bow or training bow. It's very hard to build good technique while fighting draw weight. And I don't know your draw weight. I'm not sure what it is, but it's gonna be a big hurdle in developing good technique, especially if you're shooting more dynamic horse style archery. That's really tough to do. You want to have consistent grip here. So that's the main feedback. I think the draw is too heavy, and you need to set your shoulders in the right alignment. The last thing is, I know you're trying to use katra, or hatra rather. And the hatra in this case is a little limp. So part of it is you're fighting the bow, the control needs to be developed a bit more, but the follow through that you have is a little limp. So it depends on your bow and your style. That's just a second shot. So that's kind of flinging it outwards. And the last one is more like painting the ground. That looked a bit more picture perfect, but it's the process behind that is a little off. So let's go through this. Yeah, it's a little limp. So I'll give some general advice. This is more because you're not used to the draw weight yet, I imagine. I'll show you what to keep in mind when using Hatra. So yeah, it's more to mention. It's overdone, but the thing with Hatra is that you want to keep it towards the target. All right. So if you're the target and I'm shooting the bow, okay, hang on, wait. Nah. By the way, pro tip, Jake, if you can't fit your bow in your screen, use a mini bow, right? So, if you have this, so this, sorry, this is my, whoa, drop that. Okay, so you're the target. What you want to keep in mind with Hatra is that you want to reach towards the target. It's actually very similar to modern recurve as well, where you're pushing your arm out towards the target. And the same thing with horsebows. So if you're using Hatra, then you've got to make a motion towards the target. So different people have different analogies. One analogy is imagine you are punching the target. So this is one thing with martial archery is that it's imagine you're boxing and you're punching the target. So when you shoot, you are actually flicking forward. Not flicking, but you are pushing your wrist forward and punching the target. It's a very good thing to keep in mind. You punch the target. So that means you are doing a straight motion. So if you are using, depends on your grip, if you're doing a forward Hatra, then you are punching forward toward the target. If you're doing a side Hatra like that, then you are going to be kind of using a palm strike nearly, okay? So you're kind of going that way. So forward Hatra and side Hatra. If you are swinging your arm outwards like that, then you're overdoing it and you're throwing your shot off then, okay? So that's not really a proper Hatra if you are going off to the side like that. So that indicates a loss of control. Forward or side, you're punching towards the target like that. So that's kind of the move you make. You can do both at once. So you can shoot and do like that. So that's a kind of a both there. So you put a torque in your hand and then you go like that. So that's kind of a forward and side Hatra. So forward, side, or both. But if you go like that, then you're overdoing Hatra. So that's my main feedback there. So yeah, draw weight seems a little high and your shooting structure doesn't seem to match. Speaking of mini bows, are you talking about this one, Jake? The mini cartel? We might bring that later. But I haven't seen it. I'm gonna video on this on my channel. But this is one of the funniest things I've seen. I've used a mini recurve, a mini horsebow, and we have the mini compound. So I have the trifecta right there. So we can do some demonstrations with the mini compound a bit later perhaps, but maybe not. So I have shot compound. Unfortunately, it's this size. Not exactly the best demonstration of a compound bow. So yeah, that is great. So that's Gabrielle. Thanks, Gabrielle, for sharing that, and hopefully we'll see a few more videos from you. If it would change your form, be fantastic. Bring some updates, and hopefully we can learn a bit more from that. Let's take some quick questions while we're here. Where's my chat box over here? Good. All right. The Skype battle with mini bows. Eastern ACG is a good arrow. ACG, I mean, the funny thing, I think Jake mentioned in his video too, right? We have like the Eastern X10, which is excessively good. You have the ACE, which is underrated because the X10 exists, and you have the ACG. So people start with ACC or ACG for the first serious arrows, and then they jump to X10s. ACG is very good for its price. It's a very reliable arrow, top quality right there. So if you're looking at a serious arrow, ACGs are excellent. They're pretty cost effective and they're very good. But don't underrate ACEs. ACEs are amazing arrows, especially if you've got a low draw weight. Like, you know, X10s are excessive. So if you're dead serious, X10s are beautiful, but ACEs are absolutely wonderful as well. ACG is a good starting point. Alright, so I'm just catching up with chat at the moment. Let's see. Yep, heavy. How to stay focused during training. Good quit up for Wolverine. My input there is have goals. Yeah, like Lookman said, like have a goal. It maybe shoot around, shoot a set number of arrows, and have a tangible thing. So have something which is set in stone. So if you're shooting like a round, like 72 arrows or 30 arrows for indoor, 60 arrows, then have a thing where it's not easy to walk away. Because when you don't commit to your training, it's very easy to go, oh, I'm tired, I'm shooting poorly, I'll go home. If you shoot a round or you set a number of arrows or you score on a card, you kind of hold yourself accountable to it. So you don't want to walk away with a half-empty scorecard. You don't want to walk off the line when people are training with you and they're kind of like, you know, what a loser, right? So have a way for you to stay on the line and motivate yourself to keep on going. The second thing to stay focused on is have a learning goal. So have a tangible goal, like shoot around or shoot 100 arrows, but also have a focus on improvement. So it may be focus on back tension, focus on anchor point, focus on expansion. So something it's not really tangible, you can't really measure, I've done X amount, but something which you can mentally focus on. So that's kind of how I kind of run a normal practice session, because practice and training aren't necessarily the same sort of thing. People think that shooting arrows is training, shooting arrows is practice. Training involves a focal point. So that have something which is more technical that you can actually change and pay attention to as part of your routine, but also have a shooting goal where you want to have a certain quantity to help reinforce that. If you just shoot without focus, you're not necessarily improving. That's something to keep in mind too. It's very important. Okay, so that's our first video. Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming in, by the way. I know it's late here, but we'll keep them flying as much as we can. Now, speaking of progress, I want to have a look at Super Honest. I'm not sure if he's here right now, but he sent a video in a few months ago, and we had a few things about his elbow alignment and his anchor point. So he sent another video in. Whoa, with some UFOs in the background. Don't mind this, guys. That's nothing important. You don't see anything here. So if you look at on this side over here, there we go. This is from Super Honest. So this is his second form check with us. He sent quite a few videos, but this is his most recent one. And I'm like, oh, that's improvement, my friend. I know you were happy with how you were feeling before, but that is improvement. So I'm not sure if you have the old video. Let me double check. Let me just pause it here. I want to compare this because this is a great way. Is it on the same channel? Because if you have to, oh yes, this is great. I love sequential videos because you really track progress. So the last time we did this, whoa, we got OMP Adventure. So that's the current one. And I think we had a look at, that's from 1 month ago. We'll look at this one. I think it's a similar angle because we saw it last time. We see, let's watch the old one first. Assuming this is the one which you haven't seen yet. Okay, we can see a big difference already. Actually, no, he's changed his form too. Let's see his original video. By the way, great record. Thanks for this. This is an amazing thing to analyze. This is what we did last time. So, here we go. This was his original form from just over a month ago, before the feedback. So we can see some issues with the release. The anchor point's a little off. You can see that we're losing some finger strength, some tension in the hand there. And I think at times later, especially this angle, we saw the struggle with the clicker. And this is a great angle to work from too. You can see the elbow positioning. So we saw before the elbow was quite far outside the string. You can see the struggle with the clicker there. So we're losing back tension, not expanding enough. So the advice we gave to Honest last time was to get this elbow back behind the head, so behind the arrow line, and that will help improve a lot of structural things. The shoulder alignment and the elbow were the key points here. Oof, man, I remember in that live stream, I was like, ouch, you can feel that. You can feel that shot. So this is his form now. It's been just over a month and a half, I think. So there's still some room for improvement, of course. Ooh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Ooh, I like the confidence here. So we're not shaking through the clicker. That's actually a really big improvement. We saw before he was really struggling to get through the clicker. Oh, that's not bad at all. Oh, someone's paying attention and watching videos. I know he watches Jake too, so he's probably learning a lot from Jake. That is not bad. Oh, the rotation is there. You can really see the back muscles work. That's a pretty good angle to work with. I'm actually pretty happy with the improvement, considering it's only been like a month and a bit. And this is one of my favorite things when we're doing our live streams, is how quickly people act on feedback. So, oh, I mean there are points to improve on. Nice shirt, by the way. Oh, but that is, I really like the front angle because it shows that confidence. So we come to the clicker much more cleanly here. That's nice. Alright. Okay. So, now let's nitpick. What do we think, people? What do we think? We'll let it play for a bit. I'll check chat, but let's see what we think. I'll let it run one more time, and we'll get some input from the crowd here. What do we think? I mean, obviously Jake is gonna have the best input here. This is great. We have Jake in the chat. This is awesome. Oh man. Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty big improvement. Okay, so let's hit a few things, alright? So, Jake mentioned focus on reaching out towards the target, and I fully agree too. So the important thing if in any shot process is a balance of the push and pull. So it should be 50-50. So if you're coming back this way with the arm, you've got to push forward with that arm. So you can see it, especially in the back view. It's very clear, and most archers do this. Most archers, when they expand, they tend to focus on the anchor or the string hand and they forget about the bow hand. So what happens is that the movement is quite excessive. So that's a very big swing around the back of the head. That's a little excessive. Now that kind of indicates a bigger emphasis on the pull rather than the front arm. So remember to reach toward the target as well. So that goes forward as the arm goes backward. So it's a 50-50. That's more like, 60-40 or 65-35. So try to remember the balance. Now, it may just be the angle, but I feel the front shoulder is a little hunched. There's a slight lean going on here. So that's the center of the body. There's a very slight lean. And I feel that if we straighten up just a bit here, we might drop the front shoulder just a bit. I feel it's a little hunched. You can see there's a slight hunch there. You might feel this strain a bit. The light draw, it might be okay, but you might feel that's a bit out of position. Just a bit. It's not a big deal, but I feel that it's popping up just a bit there. And if we straighten up a bit, there might be a more relaxed position. What else can we talk about? I think the bow grip needs to be, pay attention to the bow grip. So this is what we're talking about. So we've got, if I had the same view as the last time, let's see from this angle. It's hard to see exactly where the grip is, but it feels like the hand's a bit too far down here. So what you often want to do is remember the 45-degree angle. So to the ground, 45 degrees. That's a little too much grip on the bow, but it might be the camera angle. But that's more like 60. That's more like what most beginners do. Start with 60 degrees, but 45 is what you want to do. So if you get the wrist turned a bit more, that will be more optimal. I mean, you're working really hard to get the expansion, which is good to see. But I feel that you can see, right, the knuckles are all kind of curling towards the riser, and the fingers cutting across. Now that's not bad, but you've got a finger sling. You can keep the finger against the riser or pointing downwards. That's a bit too much grip going on here. Just be careful of this. and I feel just slightly off the optimal pressure point. I mean, check for me too, but I feel it's slightly off over there. Ooh, and I think it really covers it. I mean, there might be a few other small things. We can tighten a few more, but in terms of the things I would focus on, I'd say, yeah, definitely. In terms of the things that should be addressed, I think bow grip shoulder, just watch out for that. But the main big motion to watch out for is the expansion. Make sure it's 50-50, that you are pushing forward as well as pulling back as you rotate through the expansion. So that will open you up a bit more. You're trying really hard to open up, which is a great move in the right direction, and you'll start to refine that as you do more practice. I feel maybe the anchor point could be a little different too. This isn't a huge point here. You've moved in the right step there, but you might want to have a bit more contact in your jaw. I think the front angle shows a bit better. It's a bit above the jawline, and I feel that there's a bit too much pivoting. If you see this angle here, you might find yourself pivoting a bit more. So yeah, that's a bit of a gap there. You might want to have it might be a little more under the jaw. The side angle is great, but maybe just a bit more under. Try to experiment, see what's comfortable, but you might find a bit too much variation in that. But otherwise, that's a very good improvement over the last month. That's an excellent step forward. I know you moved yourself toward as well, so that's a really good sign. Well done. Okay, so let's have a small break. Let's flip to this is Sammy, by the way, who donated before. So hopefully we get some feedback. This is a bit more advanced, more subtle, so we'll definitely get to see more of this hopefully in action. And Eliza sent hers today. Alright, I'll open up my thing in a moment. So I'll do it later. Okay, so where are we? Arrow's a bit short. No, arrow's about right. Compressed shoulder, I'll agree with that. And of course, listen to Jake. Yes, that people identify the knuckles and 45 degrees. Flies. Very funny. Yep. Excellent. The thing with the grip, Lookman, is it's something which a lot of people will modify the grip to suit it. That's completely fine too. What's important? Why do I not have a bow with me right here? All right, give me 2 seconds. All right, I normally have my my riser here, but I don't. So I've got a bow here instead, so close enough. All right, next time I'll remember to put a riser here. So this is your typical grip, right? It's not abnormal. It's a little skinny for a trad bow, but same deal here. One thing you've got to remember is that you need to put pressure on this point here. A lot of people choke the throat and have a very high grip. Hence why it tends to be easy to wrap around, because you tend to choke the top of the grip. The pressure point is what you need to focus on. So a lot of times you can actually get away with any grip by make sure you have the pinch going on here. So when you grip it, you actually want to make sure there's contact here. You're not gripping it, or you're not how can I say this? You're not going too high on the grip and having this display. That might be the reason why people feel like they've got to wrap around the bow with their fingers to get the right grip. But if you have the right positioning here, if you have that V shape to begin with, you apply here, it's easy to get to 45 degrees. All right. Whereas if you try to pinch it with your fingers, then you're more inclined to wrap it around. So that's more of a target style grip. That's more of a trad grip, obviously. That's more trad, but target, it sits nicely here. So if I'm trying to pull it back, that's how you achieve 45 degrees. That's kind of my rough explanation, doing a live with an oversized bow. But 45 degrees actually shouldn't be hard to achieve if you put the focus on the right pressure point. If you don't, it is hard to achieve. That's true. But yeah, like Jake said, exactly that. So definitely, you can achieve it if you set the right position to begin with. If you're not taught this, then it will be a little difficult. It can be. It can be. Let me show you again. Look, so the index you can do it this way. There are variations. Some people will, curl it slightly inward as long as you don't torque it. Some people will have it a little loose here, but the pointing down is not unusual. So that's kind of what it ends up looking like for most people. So you see, by the way, never do this. A lot of people see like pro archers, their fingers are on top. Never put it on the shelf itself. But if you pinch it correctly, it should kind of come across like this or this. So that's the 45-degree here. Let me get the camera angle there. So that's a very common way to grip. Not the only way. Okay, some people do that. Some people will put it very gently against. But that's a fairly normal position for the 45 degrees. So I put the pressure point on my thumb over here. That's the side there. Pressure point. Slight squeeze of the grip there. And that's what it ends up looking like most of the time for most people. And if I release the grip, if I'm correct, there should be a bright red mark. So you can see, woomph. That's where a lot of the pressure, well, I can't see what I'm talking about there. About there. So make sure you focus on that, and that should help align your wrist a bit more. But yeah, the natural instinct is to grab it like that, but you want to have sure that grip there. This should be good. Okay. Let's go to our next one. Alright, this is Sammy. Jake, I might need you for this one because this is a bit more advanced. And for a good reason too. He's doing it for quite a long time. And he does KSL, I believe, at the club in Finland. So, let's have a look at Sammy. By the way, thanks for the donation. I don't really solicit donations, but I definitely welcome them. They can buy me an arrow. That's fantastic. Okay, let's see it, Sammy. Oh, there are crossbows in the background. Ooh, sorry. Let's focus on the bone. Let's focus on Sammy, not the crossbows. Oh, back view as well. Good. Is that a 60 max? The inner max? The inner series have distinct hallmarks. I'm curious about the bow. Looks like an inner max. Oh, it might be. Can't say from here. All right. This is a nice coaching setup too. And by the way, fantastic video. Love the training space. We're just shooting close distance. I think we've got a camera or iPad set up there, so we've got it top down if we need to. But this really is a good angle as it is. Guys, this is training, by the way, right? This is just practice, this is training. This is intense focus. There's no long distance shooting, no targets. We're just doing blank barrel close distance. This shows us a lot. Interesting. Alright, so we've probably... Oh, top down. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. Ah, this is perfect. And this is a perfect top-down view. And if you had some theories already, this will probably explain the biggest areas for improvement. I'm glad we included this. This is one of the best training videos we've had so far. Alright, let's stop it here. So I think this one explains what really needs to be fixed. So let's try again. My fault there. Let's go to this last shot actually. Alright, this is a really good practice video, and I think Sammy's coach will probably have said the same sort of thing already, but I've got input from other people, plus Jake's here, so we get the input too. So, I think one thing, since we have this view, where's his anchor? Ooh, okay, alright. It's just able to shoot right here. So this is his full draw. Now, we'll go through the steps in the setup a bit later here, but one thing that's very important is that the ideal we want with the structure and form is we want this elbow to be at least in line with the arrow. So the arrow line is here. You want it to be at least in line, and Coach Lee will say to get it just be on the line. So if we were in optimal position, the elbow should be actually around here. So we are actually really far off. So if that's the arrow line, I've got no marker here, but if the arrow is over here, then that's where the elbow should be. That is several inches off right there. That's a very big gap. So that's one reason why the heel will be struggling to get through the clicker, and we saw before there's a lot of gap to get through. In terms of shoulder positioning, it's actually not that bad. I feel it could be a lot worse. Let's put it that way. So we do see it come together. So I think it's time to talk about the setup, and this is the best angle to talk about. So I'm assuming Sammy knows KSL because I believe they do SPTs in Finland, or at least at the club that he shoots at. So what we want to see, okay, so if you're going to go KSL, we must do it all the way, right? So we don't really have a setup process which is clearly distinguishing steps. So it's kind of like we get into position, we lift the bow and we draw. So there is a bit of a break there, but I feel the steps are missing here. So we're drawing to anchor, but we're not really paying attention to how we're getting there, and hence the things don't fall into place. Don't fall into place. So if I were to look at this from this really good angle, now this is what most people call the set position. So you start off here, and I would say pay attention to your wrist. Okay, in some of the sequences, the wrist is not correctly set. So I think the front view shows this a bit better. I think this view shows this a bit more. So if we go to his set position, so we see here, oh yeah, the wrist, oh that's good now. Okay, you want to keep the wrist bent outwards, okay? So a lot of people forget that the wrist is important. So if you don't watch how your wrist is set up, then you might find yourself in that chicken wing position. So in fact, let's do a quick demonstration right now. What you'll find is that if you are bending your wrist, I need a bow. Yeah, come back here. Alright, I need a lot. This is a 50-pound bow, man. Why am I doing this? So yeah, so you wanna, if you keep your wrist bent inwards and you try to draw from here, then you find yourself going to your anchor point and chicken winging. Whereas if you keep your wrist outwards, you're more likely to get the right position by drawing it fully. Let's try again. Wrist bent outwards, draw, and anchor. It's easy to get the right elbow alignment if the wrist is bent and you come back in. If you go this way, then you will incline to draw in here, and your elbow sticks forwards, outwards like that. Whereas wrist up and outwards, you're more likely to get that thing. Now, not everyone is that flexible, so there may be something that comes with age and a lack of practice, but that can be one of the influencing factors. And Jake's mentioned is exactly what Jake's saying. Absolutely. So that's something to keep in mind. What else can we talk about? Yes, Mass. There's two of us live right now, so this is double coaching. One of us actually knows what to do, the other one pretends to. Alright, so we saw that there. And look, people will focus on the clicker a lot, but that's not really the problem here. The problem is how we get set up there. So I think the biggest factor is the set to setup position. So we go back to this posture here, this camera angle, which really shows everything we need to see. We'll see what we're talking about here. So what I feel is that if we were following KSL, and I think this is where it really helps here, when we lift the bow up, we should also be establishing the gun barrel. Okay, but the gun barrel should be, the shoulders should be pointing towards the right of the target. So if we have an arrow or a line over the shoulder blades, they should be going across the target to the other side. That's the optimal position. So they should be that way. That's the bow arm there. You can see my mouse cursor. And there should be, the shoulder should be here, where the mouse is right now. And he does get there, but it gets there on the draw. And that's where things get very difficult. Okay, now if the setup, let's see if I'm not missing anything here. And Jake can help out too. I really need some input here, right? If he established in the setup position, that's set up, that's set up. So it has tension on the string, but you can see the shoulders are not in line. So the shoulders still pointing the other way. So he's basically fighting against everything to get into position. So he has to get that's why his elbow can't get across, and also why he's struggling to get to the clicker, because it's a weak position to work from. It's not in the optimal position. Now he's in, but only on the draw. Okay, so we go from the game from the top. Ideally at the setup position. So he's jumped the draw bit there. And this is important too. This is why you want to go step by step. You need to vocalize in your head. Set up, loading, anchor. You want to go step by step, especially in practice. So we're not quite in position here. So you want to get the shoulders in the gun barrel, in that line, before you start drawing, before you start loading. So I feel that at this point here, we're not quite in position. So we do draw, and they do get in position as best you can. The elbow could be a little further back, but there's a lot of things happening at once. And what I would recommend for Sammy is to break the steps down. So going from here, let's do them together. That's set, that's fine. Watch the wrist position, keep it outwards or at least straight, but pay attention to all the things. Your bow grip, your hook, and your wrist position. All this is part of your setup, your set position. In setup, at this point here, there should be more of a gun barrel. So the shoulder this shoulder should come across in line. That one should come back over here. You should feel the shoulders in position before you commence the draw. Make sure that's done before you start drawing. So there is a break there. You do know you're lifting the bow up there. You do know there is a second step involved. So that's where you start the draw. You see up here, we're not even stable yet. So that's, I think the arrow lifted off very slightly. So that's when you now load. And that's a little short. I feel that you could load a little further. If you get the elbow back behind here, you can probably anchor a little further back. That's a little short. I think from the front we can see it too. Because we can actually see, I feel it's a little short. Let's see the other angle. A good bit of head down here. I mean, he's aiming downwards. That's fine. A bit of head down. That's not too bad. And there may be a bit too much weight on the bottom finger. So what we will often see is from this point of view, we shouldn't see the fingernails on the top two, but we should see the bottom finger a bit more. I think that's a bit too much hook there. So that can again influence the way everything works together. But the enter to anchor point, I feel that we come a little further back as a side anchor. It's a bit too far forward. Might be just me in the camera angle, but that could be an observation to make. And I think most importantly, make sure the elbows in position in line. Alright, I think that's why the expansion's a difficulty and you're shaking a lot on the draw. Not so much draw weight, but the structure is not economical or efficient. And that's a lot of shake for that sort of blow there. You can see the torque happening. That's a bit of a struggle there. So yeah, I think that's my diagnosis and prognosis. We should distinguish the steps more. So set up, should have the shoulders in position. So make sure you have the torso rotate and shoulders in position there. When you draw, load, get the elbow back behind over here. Then you anchor, and then you expand. And then you release and then you follow through. So the follow through is okay. The release is actually okay, as far as good as it gets from this position. But the structure leading up to it it's what's making it hard. So I feel this angle, which is again the best angle I've seen in a practice video. If you can do this, this is the best you can do. Otherwise, front is fine, and the back. But that's going to be the big giveaway. The shoulders are not really aligned with the gun barrel, and the elbow here is a little too far out. So you need to focus more on loading and getting this in position before you pull the bow back. That's my rough explanation. Again, that's a very good training video, and hopefully that gives you a lot of input. Let's see what Jake says. This is like call a friend here, call the expert. But that's really good. By the way, feel free to ask more questions while we're doing this. I'm more focused on the video, but feel free to just put in chat whatever you want to ask. I'm just going back to chat for a bit here. I'll flip back to the this scene. That's me staring at screen all the time. So that's the structure we're left with. What do we think, people? With some final comments. We'll just zoom in just a bit more. Just let me catch up on the chat. There we go. Yeah, as Jake said, there's not much rotation or redirection, which is true. I agree with that. Tends to be more push-pull on the finish, absolutely. And start with torso rotation. It's bang on. Yeah, more angular draws needed. Elbow behind the arrow. Yeah, the arrow in line tight. That's classic push-pull as well. In fact, just Jake mentioned it too. We'll definitely play this through, because we can see from here what Jake's talking about is, yeah, that's about right too. So if we are doing a proper position of the setup, using KSL at least, then the arrow should be at this point pointing, the target's over here, right? So the arrow should be on this side, and then as the rotational draw happens, it comes on target. All right, so you can see already from the start there's a break in the wrist. So the arrow line is there and the elbow is there. So from the very outset, this is why wrist position is so important. If the wrist was bent outwards, that means it'll be more likely to be in line with the arrow. Okay, so you should keep this in line. So the arrow is on target. It's a straight pull, and then he comes in. All right, so he's working really hard to keep it on target. But that break in the wrist is causing a lot of issues. That's probably the main cause of all of this, is wrist position. I think if Sammy adjusts that wrist position from the beginning, from here, if he pays attention, there we go, right there, you can see at the break in the wrist. It's a very prominent break. There we go. If we go from there, if we have the wrist bent outwards, I think a lot of things will change. There are more things like the rotational, the torso rotation, but that wrist position is going to be a big external reminder. I think that's the biggest lesson we can learn from here. Okay, I think we've covered Sammy. Hope that helps. That's a lot of detailed feedback. And there are a few, these are, I mean, like I said, the general form looks alright, you know what you're doing, but there are a few pretty specific technical details which you need to pay attention to, and hopefully that will improve you in the coming practice sessions. But very good practice video. Very good to see people train like this. Yeah, I think we're seeing this one. I think, okay, this is my favorite view. We'll do one more shot together, but I think that captures what we want. Yeah, okay, and that's what we end up with there. So yeah, great effort there. Happy to see this work in action, but I think those tips from Jake especially will resonate very strongly. All right, let's look at this guy. I have no idea what this is about. I haven't seen this yet. This is Trad. Is that a Black Hunter? That's a Black Hunter, isn't it? Right. I'm holding one right here, so this is perfect. Okay, let's have a look. I think he's just starting out, so this is a whole different ball game. That's a very different ball game. We've gone from like Olympic style to the Trad. This is lovely. Alright, it's only 2 shots. Alright, well, let's get back. Right, that went by really quickly, but we can do a lot here. So this is a very simple shot process, but we can definitely analyze a lot. So I imagine it's a fairly light draw weight, because I don't think people who shoot 50-pound bows will do that. But that's fine, we're learning, and that's a good practice method. But let's see this shot. Okay. I'm just the draw is fascinating to me. That's a fast draw. Nothing wrong with a fast draw, by the way. You get the anchor point at least. Something's bothering me about this. It's the way he's drawing the bow. It's not unsafe. It's that it's A to B, right? I don't think there's much of a process involved here. And remember, archery is all about process. So we're not trying to rip you apart for nothing a process. But what helps is you want to keep things as identical as possible. So if you have a lot of wide movements, like if you lift a bow in a tennis serve motion, you come down on target, you rely more on muscle memory, which isn't reliable, unfortunately. And I feel that if you had the bow in the same position each time, alright, I mean, if you're doing target archery, that's why I have a set position. You want to start from the same position each time and like have a set up position. But this is not target archery. The principles apply, but this is why it doesn't work in the long run, because it's too random. There's too many variables here. So you want to try to get the bow in the same position as much as possible so that the shot process is repeatable. So we see two very different processes. The first shot is a big upward motion and then we draw straight back. The second one is a direct pull. And there's just no way that those two shots will be similar. I mean, the end point will be the same. You're anchoring, you're aiming, so the end result will be similar, but everything before that doesn't need to be any different. So, really recommend that we pay attention to the setup. I think this is a very important lesson. If nothing else, it's really important to remember that archery is a process and not just aiming. So when we go through, thanks Jake, by the way, really enjoyed your presence, and hopefully we can work more on this together, and hopefully your stuff will happen too with his live coaching. So do check out his channel and his page for the live coaching stuff as well. So I want to demonstrate this best I can over here. So I'm going to do from here only because I can't fit the bow anywhere else. Instead of going up here and then pulling back, set a position. So for me, I personally do this. I let have the bow down like here, in this position, up here, shoulder in, and then pull back and anchor. Okay, so it's always in a similar position, and most people have a similar starting position. It's here, up, and then draw. That feels great, by the way. Good structure. When your elbows in line, it feels wonderful. So when we're going through this tennis serve motion, where you go up here and then pull back, and then next shot it's up here then pull back, and maybe next shot it's down here and pull upwards, that will introduce a lot of variables, and that can make you very, very uncomfortable. It's a lot of erratic movements. So try to normalize your shot process by having one clear starting point. If you're shooting the field, it's not always possible, but try to maintain that starting point as much as you can. That's the first point of reference there. The second thing I'll talk about is the release. That's what we call a static release. It's a dead release. So it's very hard to get a clean release when you pin your hand against your face like that and you let go. So that's not really a natural release. So people used to do this. By the way, hi, Drawing Technical. Glad to see you as well. Hopefully you're working your channel too. So what we're seeing here, can I dry fire something? I don't know, but no, nothing here. I've got this. Close enough. This isn't dry fire. This is just a bow, right? So what you're seeing here, let's say I'm anchoring. Let's say my face is here. I'm anchoring. If I keep my hand still and let it go, it's a very rigid release. This used to be normal for training, but this is not really. I mean, naturally, and this is Newtonian physics, you're pulling backwards, and therefore, if you are letting go of the string, your hand naturally should be rolling off the string. So if you're anchoring here, you're naturally going to want to go like that. You're not intentionally going woo like that, but because you're pushing with one arm and pulling with the other, you are going to be following through like this. Because the moment you relax, the hand wants to move backwards because you're pulling forward with one hand. So I'm pulling, then relax. There's going to be forward motion here and backward motion here. If you try to hold it still and try to let it go, you end up plucking it. It's very hard to get a good release, especially, and I think when we see with the the switch cameras, we see with the release here, it's a very forced release. When you see that it's almost a spear grip with the hand, right? So instead of having just opening up, yeah, we're really forcing it. You go like that. So the fingers just straighten out like that. We're trying a bit too hard to do that. I recommend get a normal hook and then let the string come off the fingers and let the hand come back. So work with a dynamic release rather than a static release. That's an important point there. Okay. The next thing is, so we've got start with the set position. On the start position, try to make that stable. We have the release, which is a little too static. So try to be more natural. I think even the anchor point, I'm not sure the anchor, it's a bit far away to see the anchor point. It might be okay, I'm not too fussed about it. Anyway, I don't care about it too much. But the release should be more relaxed. So relax the hand, allow yourself to follow through. The third thing is bow arm. Right? The bow arm should not be dropping like that. That's not a normal motion for a bow, not for a recurve bow like this. Alright, if you're shooting horsebow and you're doing khatra, that's normal. It's a little even limp for that, but you don't want to drop the bow like that when you're shooting traditional. You want to keep the bow up as much as you can. There will be a bit of a tip. So when you release and you're pushing forward the bow, as you should be, it should tip forward a bit, but it shouldn't drop this much. Because that implies a downward motion. You're pulling down the bow. So you don't normally see this with a Western bow. That was almost that position you finish in is almost picture perfect for Eastern khatra, not for Western recurve. And you're definitely not shooting thumb draw with this. So try to keep this hand upwards. It's a bad habit to get into, and you will find that your shots will drop low and left if you keep on doing this. So we're not maintaining any back tension either. So this is a pretty static shot. So remember, with archery, what you want is to have back tension. You wanna push forward with your bow arm, and at the same time make sure this comes backwards as well. It's 50-50, and that's how you shoot a bow. When you shoot like this, you basically pull into your point B or anchor point, and then you just let go. And there's no tension here, so everything drops, especially the front arm. This tells me that you're not pushing forward towards the target. It means you're just holding the bow there, and the moment you let go, everything just collapses. So you need to maintain tension line, push forward with your bow hand. Alright, people always mention to pull, that's easy, but push forward with your bow hand and keep on expanding backward with your string hand. That's important to set up there. So that is from Good Life. Thank you, I hope that helps. And the last official one, we've got Eliza here as well, but I think we'll go for this one because the people are here. This is Adam, and he's been quite active on the forums as well, on Reddit especially. But this is a compound, and I don't really know compound that well, so let's watch this. Let's watch Adam. Right? I don't know compound that well, so let's watch. Let's get into action. All right, let's see the next shot. So. I'm not the best person to analyze compound. So what can we learn? I need compound experts here, people, alright? I'm just looking at it going, what's a compound though? Let's start. Let's see what we can diagnose though. What I'm curious about is the anchor point consistent enough? Because of course a compound anchor is different to a recurve anchor, and it's a peep sight to get it aligned. But I'm wondering, is that consistent enough? I'm not sure how much contact there is on the nose, so let me pause on the thing here. So we're at full draw here. I'm not sure if this is I mean, you put the hand here, which might be okay. Yeah, it might just be me. It seems a little loose, but if it's working, it's working, so I can't really complain about that. This is the back view. There we go. Oh, nice shuttle lighted there. Was the grip too loose? Grip. Oh yeah. We've got a bit of twitching the bow hand, which can be very tough for a compound. You're gonna try that can be a habit people don't realize is how much the bow hand, even for recurve, having the fingers dance around, that can be a bad thing. It'd be okay here. That's a much better shot. Nice muscle engagement there. A little fast on the shot. I'm not sure if you're shooting close distance and you find the target. That's a little difficult to process. Nothing wrong with that though. Is there a hollow back going on here? You can see it from this angle. Especially, it's hard because when you're wearing quivers and you're wearing a shit like this, you know, it's hard to see your posture. Is there too much of a hollow back here? It could be straightened up just a bit more. Because having a hollow back can, a lot of people have this habit of the hollow back. And that can make for a less stable shot posture. And most compound shooters do this, and they do it fine too. So it's not like a big problem, but you might find straightening up might be a bit more helpful. But that's just my limited recurve input. And maybe your natural stance is quite, you know, arched anyway, so it might just be you. But for the most part, I think the fact that shoulders work well together here. And we're floating on target, which is fine. That's more of a passive aim. It's always fine. Yeah, no, I think for the most part, this is good. It's got all the structure in place. There might be a few fine points. I think some of the compound guys who are watching this and later on might do more commentary. For the most part, I think it looks okay. But I'm not a compound shooter, so this is kind of my ceiling. I can't really comment more than this. But I think this is someone he knows his game, and he's just trying to fine tune a few things. I think for my part, I don't think I can add much more to this apart from the spot observation. So take it with a grain of salt, I think. Yeah, true. Stance is more difficult. Yeah, I think the archback is what I feel is the most prominent thing. Change his bow. Oh, that's fine. Get a newer model. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think to me the back is what I think needs to change the most. But it can be difficult, so yeah, I'll go with that. Maybe the back is the main advice I can give at the moment. Who's emailing me at the moment? Oh, stuff. All right, that's not for me. Let's have a look. Yeah, definitely possible. His bow's broken. There are wheels on the bow. Oh, that's lovely. I love these live streams just because like the people say it's great. I mean, we've got some serious stuff at the same time. We've got like really funny commentary here. Asperatus, send an email to this address if you want to get it right now for maybe like another 15 minutes, but we can do it for you. At gmail.com. That's the address you want to send it to. If anything here. Yes, Matthews is quite normal for compound. It's also fairly normal for recurve too, especially if you shoot KSL cycle. Some people it's quite normal because the pressure point is here. You're pulling down and coming up like that, so it's not unusual to draw slightly downwards and then go upwards. As far as shot process goes. And yeah, the big belly can make it difficult too. You're right there. So that's why I'm not too picky on the stance. But the arch back, if you can tuck it in a bit more, clench your butt cheeks, well, tuck your stomach in a bit more, that could help in your stability. Otherwise, yeah. All right, let me do a quick check. I think Eliza sent me something. Sorry, Eliza, if you're still here, then yeah, I think this is your time to shine now. If you're already left, then I do apologize for that. But let's see what we can do for you. Ooh, I got an email from Mr. Thomas Albert from World Archery. There we go. Eliza sent. Ooh, I think it's still rendering. Can I play this? Let's download the video and we'll play it hopefully. Open with Firefox. Go. Alright, we gotta work on my screen. Alright, okay, we're in action. Alright, just in time. Eliza, you here? Check in with me? Yes, alright, excellent. Alright, let's watch Eliza. You're on screen now, Eliza. Let's do this. Alright, what's my screen? There we go. Let's play this. Alright, so she's just studying. How long, Eliza? Ooh, yeah, you've learned somewhere. Okay. It's a nice new bow. Are you using a finger tab, by the way? It looks like you're shooting bare fingers and there's no finger guards. I know a lot of people don't shoot with finger guards, but you definitely should be if you want to shoot consistently. Because what you will find is that if you don't use finger guards or a finger tab, it's hard to get a good string position. I think that's one thing you'll see. I'll point out there are a lot of things. You're obviously starting out, but one thing I think your grip is far too loose on the string. So it's mostly fingertips, and it may be because you're not using a finger tab. Alright, you should be using a deep hook. Let's see where you hook. Alright, aha. You've got long fingers, that you can probably tell, but that to me is a fairly light grip. That you can see there. I think you need to have a deeper grip. So definitely recommend finger protection in general. If you want to protect your fingers and not get blisters and nerve damage, that's always a good thing. But a finger tab would help with clean release and a stronger hook, and it's essential, especially when you shoot heavier bows. And also get a clean release as well. So definitely you will want to get a finger tab at some point. Oh, it's arriving soon. Good, nice to know that. Okay, but yeah, definitely will point out, I think the grip needs to be deeper. So once your finger tab comes in, you can definitely help that out a bit more. Oh, you changed your grip there. So you've gone from pinching the arrow to not pinching. Again, finger tab helps a lot. If you're using one with a finger spacer, even better. Let me flip back to my screen. Where am I? So I've got a finger tab right here, of course. We always do. So if you just look like this, then you can easily pinch that. So you don't have to worry about the fingers coming in. You can pinch the finger spacer. The reason why you want a finger tab is, look, like I said, if you're not using a finger tab, you will find that your fingers would not have a strong grip. You're a lot more sensitive with the string, which some people really love, but if you're shooting recurve and target, then you don't want to be sensitive. You want to be smooth. So the thing I mentioned with the string, actually, I'll use my my mini bow. This is so useful. So, like I said, if your fingers are on that much, it looks like that from the screen, right? It looks like you're doing this. It's a weak grip, so it's hard to get good strength on the draw when you're just gripping like this. You want to get it more like that. Okay, let's get the angle right. So, especially shooting target, I'm stand up for this one. Okay, so you want this position where you want slightly on the first joint, maybe deeper and lighter here. So you want that position on the string, perhaps. Okay, because that way you're not using your fingertips so much like that, but you have a much deeper hook. So it's easier to hook strongly and draw with this than it is to do it this way. A lot of people have the impression that if you do fingertips, you have a cleaner release because there's less skin contact. Actually not true. That's a weaker grip and you're forcing the string to come rigidly off the fingers rather than letting the fingers roll off like that. So don't be afraid of a deep grip. but you might find that if you're not shooting with finger tab, then you're struggling to have a nice comfortable grip. So definitely get yourself set up for that first. Apart from that, what else are we missing here? So let's go back and keep watching. So, oh, a long view. Didn't expect that. Oh, right. Ah, she's at the ground now. Okay, so this is more the random photos. Oh, yeah. Now we're posing. Okay, so let's go to the shooting. All right. So where are we? This is what we want to improve on. All right. So apart from the grip there, like I said, a little light, but try to get a deeper hook with your finger tab. Now, let's have a look here. There you go. Let's watch this sequence a few times. And the base structure is actually not bad. I mean, people nitpick things like leaning back a bit there. Yeah, you can lean forward just a bit. It's fine. Alright, let's see what we can do consistently. So, alright. You want to pick a stable starting point. Now, this is a little too high for most recurve shooting. Alright, this is almost like a watered down version of the Korean style. So this is actually not an uncommon style, actually, to be honest. A lot of people do this as professional shooters, but the rationale behind it is a little different. So let's flick back to me for a moment. So what you will find is that you will find people who start high. Oh, they do this. They can sit up properly. They'll start higher, then come down and draw here. And that's, if you do it fast enough, it's a pretty solid linear draw. But you need to be trained very well to do this properly. What you should be doing instead of starting up here, is start somewhere here, like close to your nose level, and then you can choose whatever draw you want to do. If you're drawing like angular, you can do that. If you're drawing linear, you can do that. But you don't want to start up here, then come down and straight. That's not a good process. So try to focus more on step by step instead of the gross motions where you go this wide motion of coming in like that. So go smaller steps. Do have the bow again. Let's just pick my bow up. So yeah, just go smaller steps, step by step. So let me show you my step up again. Got a weird corner, I know, but yeah, at the moment you're kind of going whoop, 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 like that. So there's a bit of a broken process where you're going too far up, too far down, and too far back. So like I said before, try to pick something close to your eye level. So I'm just shooting this way, upright, and then I start around here often, even with sights, and then you can focus on drawing there. So you can draw. Oh, it feels good. Nice. Okay, so start more eye level or nose level, and then get the position you want. If you're doing this a lot, you're using the wrong muscles to get into position, so you might find it a bit hard to stay stable. That's my next tip. Next tip. Let's flick over. Is this is a structural thing, so try and get your arms in position. So I think that's where you finish, right? Yep. Okay. So try to get this elbow down a bit. And one advice is, if you're watching yourself, the elbow should be in line with the base of the grip. So that's where your hand is. That's a pressure point. So if you draw a line from here to your elbow, it should go through your forearm. So this tells me that you're a bit too high. You're not engaging your back muscles enough, and it's kind of off center here. So you're kind of going down below. So you want to get the elbow down if you can, right? More close behind your ear. And I can't see how far out you are, but if you get it behind your head or behind the arrow, that's even better. But definitely get it down a little lower. Alright, so the high draw, I feel doesn't really work real well. Because the other thing is, you position your elbow high to begin with. This one, when you draw, it stays high. Unless if you start lower.
Forgetting to rotate my arm.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so I recommend start lower, get your elbow in position before you draw, and then lower the elbow. Other than that though, like the wrist shot's fine. I mean, this is where you're starting out from, and that's completely normal. It's fine too. But you definitely wanna, yeah, you wanna be consistent. Drop the elbow, and then pull straight. That's not bad. Lean forward a bit too. But yeah, we can nip it forever. You're starting out. You're doing alright there. Like I said, get finger protection. Start lower rather than higher, and lower this elbow. So when you start from this position here, so that's where you start the draw. See how the elbow's sticking upwards? That's not good. Okay, you want to have it down. So if you're gonna do it that way, if you're gonna have that midpoint when you start the setup and draw, instead of having it up here. So you start from here. You do this, and then I can't even do it. How do you do it? You can't. How? Maybe I'm a guy. I can't be flexible, but that's weird. I can't actually do it anymore. Let me try it again. So, what are we doing? It's like, how? It's. I give up. I don't know. I don't know how to repeat your form. Trying to shoot intentionally badly is pretty bad. But no, it's I can't do it anymore. Like I can only shoot this way because that's the correct way. My shoulders are kind of in this position. I can't do it the way you do. You start high, and then you come here, and it's still high. Like it's impossible for me to shoot like this, and yet you're pulling it back like that somehow. So I can't do it. Man, you see my 50-pound bow is like gripping my shoulders down in position. You have to do it one way. But no, that's my last bit of advice. So yeah, finger protection, start position, and elbow. So try to get your elbow here in line. T shape. You want T shape. If you're any higher than that, then that's not T shape. You're off position. That's T shape. So you want to keep it roughly here as much as you can. Hope that helps, Eliza. I think that's the last person who sent me an email. I don't think anyone else has sent me anything in, but hopefully that covers your main points. Like I said, you're doing well for your first few sessions. So nothing wrong. Hey, we got one more Asperatus. All right, let me squeeze it in. Wow. Okay, let's do one more together. My goodness. Okay, is that a horsebow I see? Ah, yes. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, my arm's too short. Yeah, I'm not pretty enough. That's why. Well done though. Always happy to see people learn like this. Oh, look, I'm sorry. With the draw hand, what do you do with the thumb and pinky? Oh, good question. Right, this thumb goes down, pinky curls in like this. So that's the hook. It kind of looks like this. All right. So when you if you're shooting with the Olympic anchor, you do. Let me try and show you. That's the hook. You want that shape. You want that shape. Okay. The reason why is that it goes in under there. Alright. A lot of people shoot the thumb up. You can't anchor like that. Even with bare bow, people do this. You can't really do anchor very well. Thumb down and get along the jaw. That's what I do for trad or bare bow. But if you're shooting Olympic style, then you want that position. That is the perfect position. Wrist outwards when you're starting off there. So if you're starting off, wrist outwards, and then anchor right that. Okay, so you want to have that dimple or that divot right in the corner right there. That is solid anchor. So bone on bone, right? That's when you do your thumb. The pinky, it's normally just relaxed and curled outwards like that. Some people use it to touch the tendon here. Not many people coach that way, but you can do it as long as you do it consistently. But yeah, I don't think about the pinky finger, but the thumb definitely needs to be in this position. So that way you get that anchor point. That's a very good question there. Alright. Yep, so far so good. Looking nice there. Yep, and no worries, Eliza. Hope that helps you out. Good luck with your future archery. You're doing well for your first few sessions. So yeah, once you get sorted out, you'll be alright. Lower the elbow, and you should be feeling much better about yourself. And lastly, we have Asperatus. Alright, I think we've got a horsebow over here. Alright, I love the variety we have on this channel. We have compound, we have trad, we've got recurve, we've got horsebow, and we've got a left-hander. Even better. Oh, we're shooting fingers too. Alright, so it was a trad bow, we're shooting fingers, that's fine. I don't judge. Oh no, I do wish you turned around. I love Asperatus. You can see back tension if you have to, but I want to see anchor point. Oh yeah, I see what you're doing. See, we're working really hard for the follow through. Which bow is that, by the way? That's pretty. Interesting. Do you have a front view? I was all back view, right? Okay. Interesting. Did you like just record this? Like, did you actually go out and record this while we were talking? Because it'd be funny if you did. I love the dedication. Interesting. Okay, this is a good video to finish on. Okay, all right. This is really fascinating. I've said it five times already, but because there's a lot we can't see here, but there's a lot we can like ascertain. We can like fill the gaps in. So let's look at what we do see. So I want to see the hook first. We just see the hook there. For a trad grip, that's alright. It's a short bow, you will pinch yourself, so you be careful how you grip on the string of a short bow like this. But that's a pretty decent grip. Good hook there. It's a good powerful draw. We're trying to separate the fingers. That's fine. Now the bow grip here, and this is why I'm not sure because of the angle and the lighting. I'm not sure if you see a better angle or better lighting. So I want to see if the grip is correct. It's different when you're shooting a bow like this. I think you're on the right track here. I just want to point out what might be happening. This might not be valid for you, but I just want to point it out. What's happening in chat, by the way? Ah, Grozo Siren. The Siren bow's nice. Beautiful. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, middle finger to the mouth. Yeah, that's good too. 15 days ago. We'll explain dead release in a moment here. So what I'm seeing, I want to make sure we know how to do this correctly. If you're shooting fingers, what a weird bow to use. Do I have another bow here I can demonstrate with? I've got plenty, which is in the back room. Never mind. Okay, so what I want to make sure is that when you're holding the bow, you're not holding it too far. How do no, you're not holding it. What's my camera? Is it over here? No, I'll put it this way. My goodness, this is weird. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're not holding it too far like that. Okay, so if I'm holding the bow, are we going here? No, that's perfect. Okay, so if it's too much of the thumb like that, that's what I'm worried about. I'm not sure if I'm seeing from your angle. If you're holding it like that, that's when you will have more struggle because it's putting more pressure on the thumb. What you want is to have meat, right? So the base of the thumb is where you want it, the pressure to be. That's your pressure point there. Whereas if you're holding like that, that is worrying. Now, that said, a lot of Eastern styles who shoot thumb draw, a lot of thumb draw will have a slightly alternate grip. So you kind of grip it like that, assuming a bigger bow. The right thing here, you're doing that and you're kind of gripping like that. That's fairly normal. So there's a slight torque there, and hence katra is quite normal to do that. But you're shooting fingers, so there's no katra. So if you're trying to do that, you don't need to for a Mediterranean draw. Like I said, I'm not really sure what you're doing from this angle. Hey, UFO over there. But that looks a little. I don't know. If you're doing the right thing, that's completely fine. Otherwise, that's something to watch out for. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that follow through. You've got this mannerism, this habit. Now, I know you are replicating the same shot each time by repeating the same motion here. But this is a superficial thing. Right? This is something which is a force of habit, which doesn't actually reflect the shot. Now, I don't see your release hand. It's not fully static. It might be a little rigid or limp, but it's not static. There is a bit of a follow through, but your follow through is what people would say isn't genuine. That means you're kind of forcing or faking a follow through. So it makes you feel like you've done the right shot process because your hand finishes in the same spot, but it isn't because of the shot. It's because you naturally drag it behind you. Okay, so you release, and then you let it come back, and that's not a follow through. That's just a mannerism. You're doing this as part of your shot process, but it's a fake bit of feedback. So even if you shoot the wrong way, you still naturally will touch your cheek and touch your neck, and that's not an honest follow through. And that's something which I've seen quite a few trad shooters do out of habit, and they'll swear by it, but it doesn't really add anything to the shot, and you can't really help understand what you were doing if you are following through like that. So that's one thing I might address. Well, let's not do that. That's one thing that might affect your consistency, is you're not really honestly following through. I think if it's a proper follow through, it'll come back to position. And I think there's a slight follow through there. There's, well, that's good there. But that is unnecessary, and you don't need to do that. If you want to finish there, which is a good thing, if you're going to follow through honestly, and that's your end point, then follow through all the way. So think of this end point, and when you release, alright, that should finish there. That should be the automatic instinct. So if you want to finish there as your follow through, if you're going to go here, and then go wham like that, then do that. Right? I don't recommend you release and then slide back, because that's not a follow through. That's just painting your cheek with no discernible reason. Let me just get my headphone off a bit here. So you draw, you're gonna release, come through properly, push, pull on this side, wham. If you do this, release, it doesn't give you feedback. I feel that it's not the best way to practice consistently, that method. Apart from that, so let me back to the screen. The range for that looks okay with the front hand, but there might be a little off. So just check that you have the right grip. Follow through, try to be a bit more, again, think of the end point of the shot. So if the shot ends here, let's go straight to it. Don't fake it like that. And what can I add here? You can drop the elbow just a bit more. The front shot is good, as far as I can see. The rear elbow is a little high. Try and drop it just a bit down here. So again, it should be in line with your bow hand. Pointing downward. That's a little on the higher side, even for a horsebow like this or a trad bow. So you're not perfectly in line with the arrow, or not perfectly in line with your bow hand. So it's a little high. So drop the shoulder, just drop the elbow just a bit. And that's basically it, I think, from what we can see from this angle. It's mostly the elbow. The resolution is pretty good. The control is pretty good as far as trad bows go. It's not bad. But yeah, I really think the elbow, you need to be below. I think your follow through actually has the right position. Let's just see it one more time. So yeah, when you follow through, when you brush your cheek, that position there, that split moment, is actually the correct position. So that's more like what it should be at the end of at the outset of the shot. So yeah. Try to get everything in position first. That's my main advice for you. So well done on getting it done in time. But yeah, that's probably what I'd say is, yeah, follow through, make it genuine and honest, and get the elbow down a bit there. And that's my feedback for you. And I think that's the last video. I think. Whoops. Let's go back to our main screen there. That's the last part. And we'll take questions. It's at 1 hour 30 now, so it's 1:37 here. So we'll get to a last chance for questions. I think my aperture just dried up. That's sticky. Yeah, that sucks. Man, that's how we get ants. That sucks. Oh well, we'll clean it up later. On the plus side, this is actually clean. There used to be like spill marks everywhere, but now that we spilled water on juice, we kind of wiped everything out. All right. Okay, what are we doing? Oh, is that my cutter again? What are we doing? Did someone say dead release? Yes, dead release. Is he shooting veins, by the way? Is he shooting veins? I didn't even notice. It's hard to tell with the angle, because a lot of veins are the same, right? Let me get a zoom in here. Is that I think Asperatus compares to are they veins or are they feathers? Can I actually do a zoom in? Come on. Alright, oops. Too much. Alright, we can get it right. Are we using veins, people? Are they veins? I can't tell. Like, I just can't tell. It looks like veins. If you're using plastic veins, you shouldn't be. You should be using feathers. If you're shooting it off the hand like that. In case you're wondering, by the way, that is Windows and plus opens magnifier. Well, I learned like yesterday. It was the best thing I've learned so far. All right. They seem like veins to me. Okay. What are we discussing Hatra still, or we moved on from that now? Matthews, no. Hatra does not mean putting more pressure on the bottom limb. No, that's not what Hatra is. Hatra also isn't really a follow through. People might say it's a follow through, but that's not what Hatra actually is. Hatra is an integral part of the process when shooting thumb draw. The Raptor bow is fantastic, by the way. I don't have it here right now; it's in my car. But the Raptor bow is absolutely beautiful. It's well designed. It's basically like it's got modern design features, but the trad horsebow. Good punch to it. Great balance. I gave feedback to Simon already. He definitely a great bow. I will do more of it later on, but it's very well balanced. Good smooth draw. Very well designed. It's designed for a modern shooter, but with the trad look, and I think it's a very good balance. Yeah, some Koreans will do that, but yeah, it's not really. Yeah, no, Katra is a simultaneous release. So you don't. It's not a follow through. You let go, then it moves forward. It actually is meant to be a pre talk. So you actually have the thing. You have the bow drawn, but you also you twist and push forward as you release. It's not you release and it goes forward. It's actually done at the same time. So rather than being an afterthought, it's more of a push as you release. So it should happen simultaneously. It's very hard to do, right? Because the timing must be exact. Punet, alright, so breathing. Alright, so we had breathing before. What are we talking about breathing? Okay. There are several different ways to breathe. I'll teach you the KSL one, because KSL actually does it quite well. KSL has 2 breathing cycles. You can do 1, but his method is 2. So, in brief, what he does, let's not punch my microphone. What he does is that he recommends that, let's stand up properly. Okay, so the purpose of breathing is to ensure that you control your intensity, your blood pressure, and so on. So that way you don't shoot at peak anxiety. You want to control your process. So what we're looking at is when you lift the bow, there should be a slight inhale. So you go from, say, 50%, let's say 50 is a benchmark, 50 to 70 is what we're aiming at. So 50%, okay, we're not inhaling, we're not exhaling yet, just. So when we lift the bow, slight breathe in, and then set up, breathe out. And then when you load, you breathe into full. So, anchor, and then when you reach this position, you'll release a bit. So, at the full draw, you exhale, and you're at about 50% of your capacity again. So you go from here, lift, and down, full, anchor, transfer, and then would you notice that your chest would drop, and then your heart will come down too. So you don't hold your breath. Some people do. You don't really have to hold your breath. You also don't breathe out completely. You want air in your system, otherwise, you start losing oxygen in your brain and bad things happen. But you want to have some oxygen. 50% is about right. So you go, sorry, draw, anchor, transfer, and about 50%. Okay, not all the way. Don't go, and you're flat and you have no energy left. Right, you need to fit it in. So in. I mean, I personally can't do two at once. I normally just focus on one for now. I'll put the second one in later. But just breathe in when you draw. Gives you power. And then anchor, transfer, and then halfway. And then you can focus. Try it yourself too, by the way. You notice a big difference. If you hold your breath, you get like your heart rate goes up and you start losing focus. You breathe all the way out, you lose strength. You want to have 50% around there. And yes, by the way, KSL can be used for trad archery as well. It's a mental process, much as a physical process, but the biomechanics are very similar. So definitely you can use it for trad. Most trad is built on push-pull, but KSL can work for trad. Alright, I think we're nearly done. Yeah, passing out. Yeah, you don't want to do that. And it can be something people do, like not knowing, they hold the breath too long and they go and of course they shit like crap, so just be mindful of that. Okay, I think we are done. So that's our form check for this month. Hopefully that should be okay. I will now sign off. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. You've learned a lot. And again, thanks for everybody who submitted videos. We all learn from each other, of course. And again, special thanks to Jake Kaminsky for guest starring in our cast today. It is 2 a.m. actually, yeah. It's a work day too. So, oops, what I'm doing here. But I think next time I'll try to put out a wider notice for people to send in videos. I think some people wanted to send in some today but haven't done so yet. So we'll do a wider notice next time. And hopefully we can organize one every month. And maybe we get more people coming on board to do some more coaching. But that was a really good show. I think we learned a lot there. We saw some really good improvements and some great beginners. And hopefully you gain a lot as well. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. It's now 2 a.m. here, so definitely time to go. Thanks for watching, people. Enjoy yourselves wherever you are. Stay safe. And, of course, shoot straight.